Check 1, 2. There we are. All right, folks. I feel like this is a little loud. Let me turn down the preamp a little bit. Check 1, 2. Check, check. All right, once again, I'm going through my Orion Studio Synergy Core. And it sounds like I have the speakers on. So let me mute those. There we go. A little quieter in the room. So I always go direct for my live streams. Guitar or bass goes straight through some kind of amp modeler. Then I have a microphone obviously going through an interface. And in the past, that interface could be any one of PreSonus Studio Live. I used a Focusrite 18i20 or 18i8, 18i20. I think it's i20. What else have I used? The RME UFX, the original one, not the later editions. See, what other interfaces have I used over the years that I've actually live streamed with? The Apollo setup from Universal Audio. That was a pretty decent setup. Honestly, so far, my favorites have been probably the Studio Live, because it's a live mixer, and you can do your mix through, through the USB 1 and 2 outputs going into your live stream software, and that's kind of neat. The Apollo is cool, but you have to do all your stuff on screen. And now technically I'm back to doing everything on screen, but I'm using the Antelope Audio Orion Studio Synergy Core. I don't know why the name has to be so long, but it is. But we got a question here, so come one, come all. I am Doctor McFarland. I go live every Tuesday, usually after the kids go to bed, and because I work during the day and I just don't have time to do earlier live streams. So if you like staying up late like I do, then you're in the right place. So be sure to subscribe down below. Click the bell so you'll be notified the next time I go live or release a pre-made video, and we'll all have fun together. So Tommy asked, Headrush versus Quad Cortex, and your thoughts. So I owned the Quad Cortex just for a little bit, maybe 4 to 5 months, not very long. And to me personally, I felt like I only wanted to really use it on a desktop situation. I never wanted to put it on the floor because the switches were really way too close together for my personal needs. Not that my feet are like, huge or anything. I got a 12 size 12 foot, but so really the switches were too close together. At the time, I didn't like some of the workarounds you had to do to get to different views, and I know they had added a scenes option, which is really cool. But getting from scenes back to foot switches, and I don't know. There's just a bunch of stuff about it. Now, really what the conversation should be about is you got to get this out of the way right at first. All the amp modeling units sound amazing. They can all do great things. And whether you're recording your album with a full band or maybe a solo kind of thing, whatever you're doing, or whether you're playing live, no one is ever going to never be able to tell, that's a weird sentence, that you're not using a real amp. Honestly, if you're going through the front of house PA system and they push your signal through the floor wedges on stage, I mean, you're going to sound like $1 million. You're just going to sound really good. It's almost better than miking a tube amp on stage because your tone is consistent every single night, regardless of what venue you're playing in. So, with that said, was not a big fan of the wall wart type power supply on the Quad Cortex. If they would have had an IEC cable, that thing would have been dangerous. But because of the closeness of the switches, it didn't have an IEC power connection. Some weird workaround things or workflow things I just wasn't fond of. I did end up selling it because, this is my personal opinion, I didn't want to pay $1,600 to $1,700 for something that could just sit on a desk. If I'm going to buy something, I want to be able to put it on the floor, put it on a pedal board or something, and take it to church, play with it there, go jam with friends, stuff like that. So if it was only going to do half the job for me, I didn't want to keep it. So that's right, my true thoughts on the Quad Cortex. All other aspects of it, the tone, the capturing, all the stuff, I mean, it's simply amazing. It's just really, really good. So if you can get past the closeness of the switches, having to, maybe if you put it on a pedal board with other pedals and you're powering your pedal board with a brick style power supply anyways, then maybe the power option is not such a big deal for you. But I at this point in my life, I don't want to have a modeler being paired with a bunch of other things that I have to use more cables, more power supplies, more stuff. I just want one unit that I can plop down on the floor. It literally does it all for what I need, and I just want to be up and running. So now with that said, the Headrush. Okay, so Headrush in general, there's the Prime, which is the big unit that replaced the old pedal board. There's the Core that pretty much replaced the old gig board, and it is also a good halfway point between the Prime and the smaller MX5. Tonally, the tones are on par with any other unit out there. Fractal, Helix, Quad Cortex, Kemper, Tonemaster Pro, which I do have one right here. The Headrush tones are simply amazing. They can get the job done, like I said before, with the Quad Cortex, whether you're playing live with your band or recording an album, which there's a prominent Headrush user right now here in Nashville working with a producer that also uses Headrush in the studio and live, working on a full-blown album right now. And he's actually using the MX5 to record his tones, and the album's going to turn out amazing. So he may be in the studio tomorrow night. We may go live tomorrow night, maybe doing an impromptu interview type thing. That could be fun. So stay tuned. If you definitely subscribe to the channel below and click the bell so you'll be notified when that happens, if it happens. Otherwise, if we don't go live, we'll just probably be hanging out here in the studio and just talking about gear and life and whatever else. So, but with that said, Headrush is more than capable of doing everything you would ever want it to do. Okay. Now, I hate to call these downfalls, but there are some features that other units have that the Headrush hasn't had yet. I mean, they may get it in a future update or something. But as of right now, there's no PC editor, right? There's no desktop editor for the Headrush. There's no mobile application that you can download for your phone or your tablet. Like the Toolmaster Pro just got an app control for the device. The Kemper, which I'm plugged into right over here, which you can't see yet. There's my Kemper, which may be being sold. I might put it on the market here soon because I literally just never play it. But it does sound really good, so it is what it is. The Kemper has an app that you can download for your phone or tablet. And it also has a desktop editor as well. And I might try and mess around with the app tonight a little bit if I can get it going here. Let me see. Do I have the Kemper app on here? I don't see it. I don't see it. What else does the Headrush lack? Desktop editor, phone app, which you don't have to have, but people have been crying their eyes out for years. Why don't you have a desktop editor? Please, please, please. At this point, there's really no reason not to have one. So come on, Headrush, just do it already. Quad Cortex did add a desktop editor on either their last firmware update or the one slightly before that. They might have had one or two since then. At least one for sure. So it might have been the last firmware they released. I would love, after owning a Fractal, and all the Fractal units are also amazing. They're really, 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 really good. Wow, you can literally do anything you want with a Fractal. So if you want no limits, everything sounds amazing, literally make any rig you can dream up in your head, get a Fractal, be done with it. Don't even worry about any other unit. I say that because I just sold my Axe FX setup. I had the rack unit, and I also had the FC12 foot switch controller. Sold the whole thing for about $2,200, which I didn't pay that much because I originally bought the FM9 and then I traded it for an Axe FX with the goal of getting an FC12 foot switch because I did like the larger, more buttons and more things and all that. Let's see, where am I going with this? Yeah, if you want everything, if you want to do every single thing you'd ever want to do, then get a Fractal. But the downfall of a Fractal is there is a learning curve to it. It is not hard. It's not rocket science. I mean, you can learn how to use a Fractal. It's not that hard. Okay, a little bit of practice, knowing what each button does and where to push and where to turn the knob and all that stuff is not too hard. Okay. But what the Fractal does have is it has separate volumes for each scene, which is kind of nice. It has gain reduction meters for all the compression, whether that's preamp compression, speaker compression, actual gain reduction on the compressor block, which is very cool. It has mix knobs literally on everything. So you can blend in your dry tone, 50%, and your amp sound 50%, or literally whatever you want to do. If Headrush had that kind of option, that would be great. Fractal has this. Helix has this. I think Toolmaster Pro has this. And Quad Cortex does have this as well. They all have a separate amp level on top of the actual channel. They have a channel volume. They call it channel volume, which is really just a master fader for your amp block. Most amps have either a preamp sound or a preamp knob and a master volume knob, which if you crank the master volume, you're actually pushing more volume into your power amp stage, and now you're getting power amp distortion, which is a sound, and it may be what you want, and may not be what you want. Well, with the addition of a channel volume, you can actually find the sound of the amp you want, whether that's a cranked power amp or a lower volume preamp, or you can crank the preamp and turn the master volume down. And now you can use that channel volume as your master fader to find the tone first and then bring up the volume. Now, why that's important is when you start having two amps in the same rig, sometimes your clean tone is not as loud as your distorted amp tone, or vice versa. And having that channel volume parameter on the amp block itself would make a huge workflow difference in matching the volumes of your amps without having to add in an EQ block or some other block after the amp to then, balance out the volumes before you go to your output block and set your overall volume of your rig. So that's just a huge workflow, quality of life type of feature that Headrush is really missing when compared to literally every other amp modeler on the market. And that is including Tonemaster Pro, Helix, Quad Cortex, Fractal. The Kemper has a master volume for the, or a channel volume for the amp block. Just come on, Headrush, listen to me, please. This is old Doc over here. I need a channel volume parameter on every single amp. I just need it. It's got to happen eventually. And this has been one of those things I've been requesting for at least 5 years now. And because I've been using Headrush for a very, very long time, pretty much since the dawn of Headrush. And there's just some things that have not come through on. And, what are you going to do? You're just going to keep working around the pitfalls, if you will, and just do the best you can. But with all that said, if they never made a PC editor, I'd be perfectly fine. If they never added a channel volume, I'd be really mad, but I'll get over it eventually. But other than those few things, honestly, the Headrush is great. You can do everything you need to do. Tracy Guns of LA Guns uses it for all his live shows. Jason Roller and the other guy who's actually producing my friend's band here in Nashville, they both use Headrush live on stage and in the studio playing for Alabama, the big time country band. And nobody says, hey, your tone is horrible. Why are you using Headrush? They're all like, hey, this guy's amazing. He plays amazing. He sounds great. And all that. So all that to say, and all that to answer your question is both the Headrush and the Quad Cortex are amazing. They can do great things. It's just a matter of the form factor and the features that you like the most, and just go with it. So anyway, let's check the comments. Let me get a drink here. That's one thing I usually forget when I go live. Is like, man, I didn't bring a drink. So let's go back through here. Let's go back through. Tommy Benson. I have had all the Headrush gear for years. Works so well for me. Yep. I mean, there's really not a whole lot I can fault it for. It just sounds good. It works good. It does everything you need to do. Luigra from the Dominican Republic. Hello. Yes, the MX5. It's a great little unit, man. I mean, all the amps still sound good. The drives, the reverbs, the delays. Since they've added the double scene per switch kind of thing, you can have 6 scenes on the MX5. You can actually have 20 scenes on the Headrush core. There's only 5 switches, but because of the AB switch, you can go from your first 5 switches over to a second 5 switches, and you can have 2 scenes per switch. So that's 10 total switches times 2. That makes 20. You can have 20 scenes, 20 combinations of different stuff going on in your rig on the Headrush core, which is really cool. You can only have 16 scenes on the Headrush Prime because you have 8 switches. 8 times 2 is 16. So technically, the core has 4 more scenes available than the Prime, which is kind of neat. So let's see who is dinging my phone here. Oh, nobody. Okay. Dwight Bailey's in the house. What's up, man? Rocking that sweet Les Paul, I see. GJ Farnes says the Axe 3 is awesome, particularly for a studio streaming guitars. But as a gigging guitarist, weight and size matter as do at gig adjustments. So let me finish reading. So there's better products on the market for me. Yeah. There toward the end, before I sold the Axe Effects, I pretty much just was using one preset. I just dialed in a great clean with tremolo, a great ambient tone with my clean sound, which I could also add in a drive pedal of some sort, whether that was a Klon or a Timmy or something. Or actually, I was using the ODR Nobles drive option, and that was great. Then I kick it over to a Mesa Boogie dual rec amp for my crunch and my lead tone. And then on the last 2 scenes, I switched over to it was a Powerball from Engel, an Engel Powerball option. And what's really cool about the Fractal, and that was the other thing about the Headrush I really, really want. So on the Headrush, there is a thing called a block preset. And as you go into your scene, or you go into hardware assign, and then you look at your scenes, there's a little window in each scene block where you can change the literal preset of that block. So this is really cool, but the downfall of that is when you change a block preset for the amp, guess what? Now there's a gap in the sound, and it's just retarded. It's just so dumb. No offense to people out there that have mental disabilities. I shouldn't say that word. It's really dumb that you have this great feature that you can literally, like on the Headrush core, you could have 20 scenes. In theory, you could have on scene 1 a Fender amp. Scene 2, you can change the block preset of the amp to make it be a Mesa Boogie. Then on scene 3, you can switch to a Bogner. In scene 4, you can switch to a Sardanos. In scene 5, you can switch to an Orange Rocker Verb. And just on and on and on. So for 20 scenes, you could have 20 different amps and 20 different drive blocks and 20 different whatever. But since there's a gap in the sound when you switch the preset of the same block, it ruins it. It just literally ruins it. And it's dumb. That's the other thing. If they could add a channel volume for the amp channel and make block presets gapless switching, my goodness, Headrush would literally rule the market because it's so easy to use. All the other features are already there that you would want. And Headrush, like right now, literally, like write this down. Channel volume for the amps, gapless switching for the block presets, and you would rule the market. You'd be done. Um, yeah, somebody go sign a petition or something. Somebody, please. Um, that's it. I need to email them like tonight. Like, guys, just do like these three things: channel volume, gapless switching for block presets, PC editor for the guys that want that, and one more. There's a auto engage option for the wall pedal. Instead of having to click the toe switch, just have an auto engage. So like as you start rolling up, the arm like it turns on. That'd be so huge. Neil says rock on. I say rock on back to you. Fractal, that's okay, but it's complicated. Yes, it is complicated. Think with the Headrush, instead of having a PC editor or an app, the amp sounds so realistic. It's so true. You can't tell the difference when you are connected to a PA. Yeah, that's the thing. The Headrush does sound really, really good. It sounds so good. Just a few little quality of life tweaks, and it would literally rule the market. It would be so good. As the current price, I think the current price of the Core, I know they lowered it at some point. They might have raised it back up, but at some point it was like $799. Guys, that is a killer deal. That's a killer deal. Headrush. The amp simulations are amazing. This is so true. Headrush is weird. Other in music brands like Akai, Den and GJ, Renee engage way more with their community. I wish they hired some community customer-facing representatives. I mean, there's a lot going on in the beta group. There's a lot going on the Headrush forum, but really not. I mean, they kind of hold their cards close to their chest. I don't know why they do that. They just need to hire me to be their face of marketing or something. Though I already have another job with a great company that I do that for. So I don't know if I can double dip or not, but I'll work on the weekends or something. I mean, I'll do whatever I need to do. All right. So let's talk about this guitar right here. This is the Eastman. What is this? The Eastman T484. So this is basically like a 339 style body style. So it's a smaller body, like the Gibson 339 kind of deal. Okay. And what you get with this is just a nice overall sound. Okay, I have some footage shot of the SB59V that I recently sold to a great player, great guy. Really enjoyed him coming over and talking shop a little bit before he walked off with my guitar. After he paid me, obviously. And it's one of those guitars where, I mean, it was really cool, but I didn't really play it hardly ever because I really like my Kiesel guitars a lot more. I like my Kiesel guitars a lot. Okay, a lot. And but this one I equally like just as much. And this one is a real beauty. We have a nice flame, really nice flame maple on the front and the back. Okay, and on the sides. We got flame everywhere. This thing is flaming. And we have a 3-piece neck. I can see that. I did work for Gibson Guitars for about 10 years, so I know how a guitar is made pretty much. And this one's made really well. All Eastmans are made in Beijing, China. And this is not your typical Chinese company. I mean, you think China, you think cheap crap from Amazon, right? No, this is high quality. I dare even say higher quality than Gibson type specs on these guitars. And this one runs for about $1,300-$1,400. I mean, amazing deal for this kind of instrument. We do have a ebony fretboard on this thing, mother of pearl inlays, dot inlays, and she's sweet, man. She's just really good. So I've had this on Marketplace for a very long time. I bought the guitar kind of on a whim, not really knowing how much I would like it, but I just wanted to get it because I like the look of it. I wanted to review it on the channel, then maybe just sell it off and move on. But every time I pick up this guitar, which is not all the time, but it's pretty rare, but I do play it every once in a while, which I think I'm going to be playing it more. And honestly, the reason why I wasn't playing it as much was, okay, if I'm going to sell it, I'm going to try and keep it as in pristine condition as possible. And I don't want any fret wear. I don't want any dings on the body. I want to keep it as perfect as I can. So when I sell it, I can get the most dollar for it. So I don't want to lose money on this. So, but I think I've decided today, I'm planting my flag in the sand here. The dirt on the moon is, I'm going to keep it. And this is going to be, this thing is just awesome. This is it's not a thin neck. It's not a thick neck. It's kind of in between. It feels really good. The scale of the guitar fits, it just feels really good. The way the body sits on my leg and it fits up against my chest here is just great. Let me turn this up a little bit. You can see the rig I'm using is the Doc Deluxe. So this actually comes from a Bert, what's his last name? Bert something. Molendick. I'm Bert Molendick from Germany. And I don't know how he says his name really, but he makes great Kemper profiles, and I've downloaded a few of them over the years. Not over the years, but over the last year and a half or so. And I've actually made my own Kemper profiles that you can get on my website for $20. So if you want to help support the channel, click on any link in the description of any of my videos. You can find links to affiliate links to Sweetwater, Amazon, and now Zounds.com. So whether you like shopping at any of those, just click through my link, buy something, and I'll get a small commission from that at zero cost to you. And let's see. Sorry, I'm burping. Yeah, lots of other products on my website you can go check out. DrMcFarlandStudios.com. And I have a Helix presets Headrush bundle, which 2 people bought over the weekend, and I'm very thankful for that because they're going to get some great content that you cannot find here on YouTube. All about the Headrush and how to build rigs, and a tonal analysis course, which is starting literally this month. It's going to be great. I'm going to do some songs from AC/DC, from Collective Soul, from Green Day. I mean, just the list just goes on and on and on of songs I can do. And the reason why I'm doing that on my website and not on YouTube is because of copyright issues. Whenever you play music from other people on YouTube, your video always gets flagged. It always gets taken down. And I'm not dealing with it. So I'm doing that privately on my website. If you want to see those videos, you can either pay a one-time fee just for the tonal analysis course, or you can buy the Headrush bundle and get tonal analysis, Headrush clones, Headrush tonal analysis course, which is going through every amp, cab, microphone, and effects that's on the Headrush. And also you can download all the rigs from the live streams I make every month building Headrush rigs. So the Headrush bundle is actually a really good value. And it's just a one-time fee, and you get all the stuff I ever make for the Headrush on my website for life. So That's just added value for what you're getting there. Oh yeah, this thing is sweet, man. All right, so let's go to the deluxe crunch sound. Okay, that sounds good. Then we're back to clean again. But what do we have? We have more of a spatial ambient kind of sound. What do I have in here? See if I can get my slide out here. So I have a few different slides. Where's my other one? Where is my other one? I have that one. I have... Yo. Okay, I'm not seeing the other one. All right, here we go. Yeah, if I was going to use this for slide playing, I probably want to raise the action just a little bit. Yes, I want to save. Okay, we're stored. All right, now with the Kemper, this is the thing with the Kemper. So it's kind of similar to what the Fractal is you have a bunch of knobs and buttons here, but it's not as intuitive. Like right now, I can barely remember how to do some things. Like for example, if I want to go back to my clean sound here, let's say my crunch. I want to go to my crunch. I'm going to hit rig. And now, that's not right. Let's see. What do I want to do? No, that's not what I want to do. So I can edit, I can arrange, and I can slot enable. I want to be able to copy. I want to copy this rig and move it to this slot right here. Okay. See, there's nothing there. And like right now, like I do not remember how to do this. I don't remember. So bad. Yeah, I just don't remember how to do it. Click on pedals. That's not it. So now I have to go watch a video or go read the manual just to freaking remember how to do this thing. So it's just, the Kemper can sound good if you use it all the time. Yes, it's not that hard to memorize and learn what to do, but it's not as intuitive. I can literally give the Headrush to any of my kids, and it's not going to sound that great, but they can figure out how to make a rig. They can add an amp and a cab and a drive pedal and a delay and a reverb and move them around with their finger, and it's just easy. It's just so easy to use. But Kemper and Fractal, they're like, oh, we sound the best, but we're going to make it really hard so you can't ever figure it out. It's like, well, thanks. You know, thanks for that. Because honestly, if I use the page buttons here, okay, I can do that. And now, let's say I want to add an amp. Okay. I'm going to turn this browse knob, which I can do. But now I'm going through like literally every single like option I have in here, and I can use the page buttons to go through different amps like a lot faster. So let's say if I go to my Fender option here, okay, there's my Deluxe Clean. And there's my Deluxe Crunch. So let's say I go to my crunch sound here, okay, and it's going to auto load. So now I've got a crunch sound. Okay, there's that. So I wasn't able to copy this rig over to the other slot, but I was able to, you know, just add in an amp. Not kind of easy, but it wasn't as easy as it should have been. So, all right, so you can crank the gain here, which is kind of neat. We can also hold down amp, and we can go in, and I want to turn up the volume a little bit. Okay, let's see. I want to turn down the bass. Okay, this is going to be pre the tone stack. Okay, that sounds pretty good for that. Entire performance, yes. Stop. Come on. Okay, restored. All right, I now want to turn on my delay. I can press edit on here, and I can change a few different things. Slot settings. I can move the slot. I can rename the slot. How about I rename it? And now I have to go through the issue of renaming something, and I'll use the rig name. I mean, it's literally just it's kind of daunting here. So we'll say doc, and I have to go here. Oh, I want to clear that. And this is going to be a lead. So I just put LD for lead. And what you're doing is you're moving the cursor along this path, or this row of letters and numbers and stuff. So now I'm going to clear all this. Uh-oh. It just moved. Something just moved. Okay, going back here. Okay, now we're going to hit store. Now we're going to do that. Okay. It wasn't extremely hard, but it could have been easier. So okay, so now we have a clean, a crunch, a clean again with this more ambient. Okay, which actually that one I'm going to edit. I'm going to do slot settings, rename slot. And this is going to be called A. MB for ambient. Then clear, store. Now what I did there was I actually hit the switch again and it went to morph mode. So you can see the gain went up on the amp. Certain things turn on and off. So probably go back here. So that kind of kicked in a almost like a lead sound on the same switch, which is neat. That also brings in a delay. Okay, so this is basically the same thing I made on the other two, but except instead of hitting the switch again, you just hit switch 4 and it goes directly to the sound. So it's kind of the same little workflow of put on tuner here. So the same workflow of the Headrush or a Quad Cortex or anything that uses scenes or snapshots. You pretty much want to put everything you would want within a set list or a song list or something, which is kind of it's pretty much what a Kemper does. Is you have a set list, then you have different performances. Okay, so this is performance number 9, and within that performance we have 5 presets that we can call up within that performance. That can be intro, verse, chorus, bridge, solo, for instance, right? Or it can be clean, crunch, lead, ambient, and crazy sound, or however you want to organize those for your song, or just for a set list in general. That's how you would do it on the Kemper. Box sings. I don't know what that means. Anthony, what is box sings? I just don't get it. Okay, so I hope that makes sense for how to use the Kemper. And honestly, I mean, it sounds good. I mean, it works really well. I just never play it. I don't know. Next time I play at church, I might use the Kemper. Honestly, like 1 should probably be like my clean tone. Then I hit it again, and the come on, stop it. Oh, this. All right, that might be really cool to do something like that. So if I hit morph, actually, how do I do this? I don't remember. All right, so if I hold this down, I'm in the edit mode for my tremolo. So right now, if I have it set to depth is going to be all the way down. Right, if I hit morph, now I can bring the depth up, and it has a little M beside it. But also the amp went up as well, so I don't want that. let's say I like that, which I do. Now I'll save the entire performance. Yes, I will. Okay. Okay, for my name, I'm going to change the slot setting here. And I will rename it to clear all this out. So I'm going to have this be CL. Uh-oh, I didn't do that right. CL over clear. Let's put a plus symbol in here. And then we'll have it be a TR. Like that. So that lets me know that on the same switch, I can either have it be just a clean sound, or it can be the same clean but with a tremolo. Okay. That's the same thing. The same way I would name my Headrush scenes or fractal scenes or something. If I'm hitting the switch again, I want to know what kind of sound I'm getting myself into if I hit that switch again. So Anthony Wall, box sings. I don't know what that means. Y'all asked me some questions here. I'm kind of going over some Kemper stuff and just talking about this Eastman right here, which is really nice. But yeah, I want to be answering anything that you your brain or your mind is pondering at the moment. Yes, DJ Foreign says, Headrush hire Doc. I mean, they had their chance years ago. They really did. I could have worked remotely. I definitely didn't want to move to Massachusetts or wherever they're from, but ooh. That's nice. We'll go over to this other one here. Now, the limitation to the Kemper, and also if you use a Helix floor without the second core engaged, you basically just have one row of blocks, and you can only have 8 blocks in that row. So technically, the Kemper is doing one better. You can have 10 blocks, but you always have an amp and a cab on their separate block. Then you can have four blocks before the amp, and then 4 blocks after the amp. Okay, so you could have, like, what is this one? I don't even know what this one is. That's a wah-wah. Wah-chicka-wah. Okay, this one is the compressor. This one is a full drive, so we got that one here. Okay, we can turn that off. We can hit on the whatever this one is, the distortion. What is it? The green scream. I don't know why I have that on there. I want something different. Let's go choose a 1DS. So it should be a SD1 from Boss, and we'll go make it. We'll make it bright. Okay. Oh, and it's loud, and the tone's up way too much, and the drive is all the way up. Let's turn that down. Tone is still up more. Okay, so now we can turn that off. We're back to our clean tone. We can turn it back on. Okay, and that sounds pretty good for now. We'll save this. We can also hit the switch again, which goes into morph mode. And now we are raising the gain on the amp a little bit. Ooh, boy. See, this was on the chopping block, but I mean, I do like the Kemper. I don't mind it. And once you get a performance dialed in, so you have your clean, hit again for your trim, turn that off, right? Kick that for your crunch. Maybe go here for your ambient. Go here for your lead. Then maybe one more for a like an oddball thing. I mean, honestly, that's pretty much all I need. And really, for any unit I've ever tried or used, I just make the same kind of rig anyway. I have a clean amp with some overdrive options, delays and reverbs, maybe an auto swell for, that's one thing I would do is an auto swell, which I can make fairly fast here. I really want to know. I want to know. All right, let's go to this rig here. Arrange. That's not what I want. How about edit? Slot settings. Can I move the slot? I can move the slot, but I actually want to... All right, let's try this. I want to hold the rig. Okay, that's how you do it. You copy the rig, copy. You page over And now you hold the rig again and you say paste. That's how you do it. Okay. Now that I figured that out, it's not too hard. Okay. So now I have my ambient patch here, right? But I don't need, what is on this one? I don't need a stereo widener there. So I'm going to make a different thing. And I'm going to an auto swell. Okay, so we'll add an auto swell. We'll make it swell in nice and slow. We'll also add in a compressor. Okay, sounds nice, right? We don't need technically a modulation here. Oh, actually, that one was the auto swell. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'll do this then. I'll change it to, let's go down to reverb. Let's find a really good, let's do a really good reverb here. Let's do a pad of some sort. Okay, make sure that mix is turned up nice and long. Not too much of a high cut. Also turn up the modulation a little bit. Okay, I like that. Let's hold the delay and let's see, we got a mix. Let's make the mix a little higher. Okay, I like that one. And let's check out this reverb here. We have a Cyrus reverb, which we can yes. Okay, I like that one. Alright, so 2 slot enabled, edit, slot settings, rename slot. We will, we'll call this swell. So now that I've made this, if I want to copy this over to a different performance, I can. I can do that. But you can see how long it takes on a unit like this without the use of a of some kind of editor. You can plug a QWERTY keyboard into the back of a Kemper, which is really neat, but that's not something that you really want to do on stage. So honestly, this is the good takeaway here. All right, we're gonna save that. Bam, ba-bam, ba-bam, bam, bam. All right, so the takeaway is this. So for whoever is listening here and watching, all right, so Dwight and whoever else is watching out there in YouTube land, this is the takeaway of the night. any mauler is going to be great. Okay, you can do whatever you need to with any mauler. But to get to a gig and suddenly realize that, oh my gosh, all my sounds are horrible, I got to redo everything on, it's like, no. It's not realistic, okay? You're not going to show up to a gig, realize, one, show up to the gig, two, realize that your tone is horrible, and redo all your setting, like redo all your presets and all your stuff. It's just not going to happen, okay? So what you have to do is prepare beforehand, okay? Live with the unit, whether in your living room, in your band practice room, in your studio, wherever you're at. Put on some nice headphones, dial in your sounds the best way you know how. Hopefully you can practice with the band before the gig to make sure that, yes, what you've dialed in is not too much bass, too little bass, too much highs, too less highs. You know, make sure tonally that you fit in with the band. And then once you do that, if you can make yourself fit in with a band setting and not just dial in your rigs based on your lone by your soloed tone, you never want to make a rig in isolation, because you're always going to add way too much bass. You're going to scoop the mids way too much. You're not going to have the right sound or the right tone that fits in a band situation like you would if you were actually playing with the band. So that's why maybe if you're dialing in a sound, you might want to play along to a backing track and say like, okay, how does this sound I'm making fit in with the context of drums and bass and vocals and another guitar player and maybe a keyboard player or something, you know. There's all kinds of backing tracks out there that have all those elements in there that can help you play along with it and be like, okay, this tone is working for this situation. So therefore, if I go to the gig and I play with the band, I'm not going to get drowned out by the cymbals or the other guitar player or the vocals, or they're like, hey, I can't hear you. You're not cutting through the mix, or, you know, whatever excuse they say that they can't hear you for some reason. So yeah, it's just not going to be realistic to show up to any gig and expect to just totally redo all your presets, okay? Now for Fractal and for Kemper, if you have to go in and tweak something, you know, one or two little things is not going to take that long. And by the time you're done, and you can just worry about playing. That's really what you should be worried about in the first place, is just get the tones that you need for playing and then play. Actually play, not just tweak stuff all day. Check the comments here. Francis, what's up, man? I've decided as of today, I am not selling this guitar. This guitar is just flipping sweet, and it's gonna be one of my number ones, I'm sure. Now the plan is, this is also the plan. I also, by playing all my Kiesel guitars, have appreciated stainless steel frets. So what that means is, once I start really playing this guitar heavily, I might start wearing away on the frets, and it might take a year, it might take 2 years, it might take 5 years. But in a few years, when I need a fret dress, I will decide to totally take off all the frets and replace them with stainless steel frets. So that way, at that time, I will never have to worry about fret dressing the guitar, replacing the frets ever again. You just do it once with stainless steel frets and you're done. So, and I think at that point, you know, I mean, right now it's a great guitar, but I don't like wearing the frets down and having to get fret dresses and all that dance and stuff. So that's going to be the goal, is play the guitar, love it like it's mine, because it is mine now. I'm not going to sell it. And when it comes time to get a fret dress, I'm just going to be like, yeah, just take all the frets off and just replace them with stainless steel frets. Um, what's the fret size on here? I could possibly do a jumbo fret kind of thing if I wanted, or just keep the same width of the fret and the same height, but just make them stainless steel frets instead of what they are now. Obviously they're nickel frets, but there's different sizes for different frets and stuff. So, so there's my ambient patch. And now notice when I switch to another preset on the Kemper, all my stuff spilled over. So, come on. Okay, let's see what this one is. This is the reverb. Let's undo that reverb. Let's keep it in. And let's assign this. So that way, if I wanted to keep the same ambient sound, but then just turn off the swell, I could do that. Ooh, that's another thing that the Headrush is lacking. Now the reverbs and delays in the Headrush sound great, but they are kind of bland. As in, that they're not bland; they are plain. They're just plain plates and halls and rooms and church and whatever. But really, once you get past the initial sound of the reverb, which is already good, there's not a lot of special sauce floating around in those reverb tails. And what you're hearing here with the Kemper, with the Kemper Stage, you just hear all that high end kind of fluttery goodness kind of floating around in there. That's the added texture that I feel like Headrush is missing. And honestly, the Line 6 Helix reverbs, they're kind of on par to what the Headrush is doing. They have the plates in the rooms and the halls and the church and the whatever else, right? They're just basic. And even the new reverbs that they came out with, like the Gamma Mead and the Glitz and all that, those are fine. They're good, but they still don't get you all the way there of what the Tonemaster Pro Cloud Reverb does, or some of the Fractal stuff, or even the Kemper. I would go out on a limb and say the Tonemaster Pro. I haven't heard the Quad Cortex in a while, but I think they have decent reverbs. But the Tonemaster Pro for sure, the Kemper and the Fractal, all those reverbs, all those units have better reverbs. They have more reverbs that can give you that more ambient, fluttery, angelic type stuff that the Headrush and even the Helix, the Line 6 Helix, does not have. Now, the Helix does have the shimmer, it does have the octo verb, and it does have the particle verb. But I think those are more of like effecty type sounding. And they're not this nice, lush, like sit in the background, kind of encompassing kind of sound. This immersive kind of sound, for lack of a better word. It's really more of an immersive experience. when you have this lush reverb that you can just kind of just swim in and just kind of sink into and play with, if that makes any sense at all. Well, that's just beautiful. Okay, how long have I been going here? An hour and 15 minutes. Not too bad. Let's see. Let's see. Checking comments here. Okay, we got a little back and forth with Dwight and Francis. Hand purple blue piece. It's funny. It is hot and very humid up here. Yeah. Stay hydrated, man. No, I'm not. I'm just going straight into my interface. Actually, I haven't tried. I've played the Kemper through the Laney LFR 12, and that is fire. That's really, really good. I currently have some Headrush speakers over here, the new Headrush speakers with the Bluetooth built in. I have the 12 and the 8. Those sound great. But I have not tried the Kemper cabinet, the powered speaker option. I wouldn't mind trying it. But it's also one of those things to where I don't play in a band. And I have tons of other solutions if I need an FR speaker. So for me to go out and spend money on a Kemper cabinet, it's just not going to happen. Now, if Sweetwater or Zounds or whoever carries Kemper, I don't even know if Zounds carries Kemper. Let me check it real fast. Check it before I wreck it. Kemper. Yes, they do. Okay, so let's see here. Remote. They got an amp pack. I didn't know they sold packs on Sounds. That's kind of cool. They got a Victory official Kemper profiles for the Sheriff, for the Richie Kotzen amp pack. The Copper Deluxe from Victory. That's kind of neat. I need to check these out. Okay, I'm not seeing a Kemper cab on Zounds.com. Let me check. Let me show you what I'm doing here. Boom. Is it switching over? Come on. Help me, Rhonda. Why isn't it showing? Oh, it is showing. Okay, there we are. They do have the new Fender Player 2 guitars out, which is really neat. I mean, they look nice. I still prefer Reverend guitars if I can help it. Kemper cabinet. Okay, it's not bad. It's $540. It's really not any more than the Fender FR12 or the FR10. They are 200 watts. Kemper cabinet profiler, speaker cone. See, I would need to have the powered option, I think. Which I'm not really seeing. I'm not seeing it all. See, if I got this, What is this doing for me? Anything? It's just a cabinet, but I would still need a power amp for it. Okay. Modeling speaker cab for the profiler, head, rack, and stage. So passive guitar cab faithfully captures the feeling amp in the room response of 19 sought after speaker types firing out of the all wood cabinet. Okay, so the note, the passive Kemper cabinet requires a Kemper power head, a Kemper power rack, or an external power amplifier. Contact your sales, Sweetwater sales engineer. So I would have to use maybe my Blue Guitar Amp 1 as a power amp. I'd have to use, I just don't have anything. I don't have a good option for a power amp at the moment. So yeah, I would have to have the powered version if I were to use that. Which I'm not seeing the powered version anywhere. If you have a Kemper, you need this cab. Oh, yes. Yeah, but for the same money, I would just get the Fender FR12. Which I had the 10, and I sent it back because I had that weird hiss issue. I feel like they've gone up in price. They were, this was $550, now they're $599. And the 10-inch version, come on, the 10-inch version was $500, which is that's still $500. So the 12-inch version has gone up another $50 on top of what it was. And my friend Aaron Short did a good video on the FR10 and the 12. And make sure you look for a serial number between certain serial numbers. So that way, because Fender has said they fixed the noise issue, that the overbearing hiss of these speakers. So why I would get the Towmaster over the Kemper is it has the power amp already built in. It's got a volume, a treble, middle, bass, and a cut, which is really cool. When you look at it, it looks like a Fender amp on stage, which is great. And yeah, it's just really good. So yeah, Francis. Let me go back to my my setting here. Okay. I have a friend with a Kemper cab. Next time I go over, I will give it a play and let you know what I think of it. Yeah, let me know. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it sounds great, but the reason why it's $540 is it doesn't have a power amp built in. And the fact that the Fender option already has the power amp built in, and it's basically around the same price range, between that $500 to $600 price range, it just makes it a no-brainer to go with the Fender at this point. So you can't go from the output of the Headrush MX5 into the end of the Kemper cab. No, because you need a power amp. You have to have a power amp for that. Now there is a Kemper. Let me go to. Let's see. Kemper power cabinet. Kemper power cabinet. Ooh, new prices from Kemper. So I'm on the actual Kemper website here. Let me go back so you can see what I'm seeing. Okay. Nope, go back. want this to be different. Maybe a square. Ooh, I don't like that. Maybe I'm round. Now I'm out of the picture. Okay, that's fine. I could do this kind of thing. Maybe I can't. Okay. Doesn't matter. So the power cabinet is $789 because it has that power amp already built in. The Laney LFR is also around that $700 to $800 range, which is more expensive. It's more expensive than the Fender option, which I think looks better and is way easier to carry because it's lightweight. It's about 25 pounds. It has a nice handle on top. And the Laney has two... Let me go back to my other thing here. The Laney has two handles on the other side for a reason. Because it is stout. It is a heavy cab. It's not one of those you can just pick up and go kind of things. You can't have the Laney in one arm on one hand and then your guitar and your bag and your whatever else, right? You have to set everything down, pick it up with two handles, carry it to where you're going to put it, and then go get your other stuff. I mean, honestly, the sound of the Laney is amazing, but if I was playing out, I would not use the Laney. I would just keep it here in the studio, or not buy it in the first place, and just use the Fender FR12. So, the only other option at this point is to buy a Headrush speaker, the FR speaker, and the 12 is kind of big. It also has two handles on it, and at that point, I would probably choose the 108 because it's nice and small, very compact, very lightweight. Still plenty loud for what you need. And that's what I'm going to do probably this weekend is break down and set up these Headrush speakers and play them through the Tonemaster, the Kemper, the Helix, and the Headrush, and let you guys hear how they sound with a lot of different units. And, crank them up, play them soft, all the stuff, and you guys can decide if the Headrush option is a good option for you, or if you like the more traditional, Fender amp looking thing on stage kind of deal. So it's the way that is. But this one is the Kemper Power Cabinet with a K. So it's not a C cabinet, it's a K cabinet. And it has to have the extra dial on the front in order for it to be the one that you would want to use. So yeah, there you go with that. Yes, it is nice. I did have the 10 and minus the extra hiss that I had. I mean, it sounded great. But I just knew that they would fix all their speakers, to get rid of all that extra noise and the extra hiss. And I was like, no, I'm not going to keep this. I'm not going to spend the money on one that has the hiss when I know I can just buy another one that doesn't have the hiss. It just doesn't make any sense. If it would be the same money, it's like, well, obviously give me the one that doesn't have the hiss. I don't want the one with the hiss if I got to pay $500 to $600 for something that has extra hiss I don't want. So therefore, I send it back to Sweetwater. And at this point, I probably just get one from Zounds, since I'm an affiliate partner with them now. So if you do want to shop online, I do love Sweetwater, but I get a little extra commission from Zounds and some other perks. So if you buy anything and you don't mind buying through Zounds.com, they usually have 1 to 2 day shipping. They have easy financing plans and no credit checks at all. So it's just put the thing in your cart, check out, choose your financing that you want, whether it's 6 months, 12 months, sometimes it's up to 24 months. Really, the Sweetwater is the only one that does like the 48-month kind of deal, Which if you're buying a really, really, really expensive item, you probably want to opt for the 48 months just so you have lower payments. But if you're buying anything in the $500, $1,500 range, usually you can pay it off in 12 months anyway, if not 24 months. So therefore, Zounds is a really good option if you live here in the States. Not so good if you live over in Canada or across the pond or whatever. Lots of talking. Lots of talking. This one. Yeah, I could probably just live. I could just live on this performance for a very long time. Just give me a clean, give me a crunch, give me a lead, give me a fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Huh. Huh. Hey, if you already have an amp, can you just use it? Yes, you can. There's a few different options for amps, like a real amp, but that has a power amp and that has a preamp and a power amp. Okay, here it goes. When you run an amp modeler into the input of an actual amp, you are technically doubling the preamp sound. The preamp of your digital amp in the modeler, and the actual preamp and tone stack of the amp you're going into. And therefore, to me, it doesn't sound all that great at all. Okay, I don't like it. I don't like that sound. Fixing my pants here. So, therefore, you go into the effects return of the amp, which bypasses the preamp of your actual amplifier. And now your amp is being used as a power amp, which is what you need for a Kemper cabinet or any of these other cabinets that don't have power amps built in. Okay. Now with that, since you already have a power amp and a physical speaker in your cabinet, more times than not, you want to turn off any kind of speaker emulation in the amp modeler, because then just like you're doubling up the preamp sound if you plug into your input of the amp, now you're also doubling up the speaker sound, one from the real speaker and two from the modeled cabinet in the amp modeler. And sometimes that can sound a little mushy to my ears. So you get a much cleaner sound, a more truer sound, if you bypass the cab model in the amp modeler. Okay? Now, some units are easier to do that than others. Like, for example, on the Kemper, you can see right here, there's we have a main monitor and a main output. So on this monitor output right here, there's actually an option in the unit to bypass the cabinet just on those outputs. So what that means is you can use the XLR to go to direct to front of house, and then use the 1/4 inch outputs on the back to go to a power amp and a cab, and automatically bypass the internal cabinet on the Kemper. Okay, on the Headrush unit, there is something called the alt output method, or the alternate output. I have many videos on this on my YouTube channel. Just go to my channel and search for Headrush Alt output, and you'll find what I'm talking about. And that essentially allows you to, on the pedal board only, and the prime, and now also the core. You couldn't do it on the gig board or the MX5 because it didn't have a separate XLR and a 1/4 inch output, which is what you need for this to work. The alt output on the Headrush essentially says you're going to send the full rig up until you get to the cabinet, which is also why I always try to put the cabinet last in the chain, especially if I'm using a power amp and a real cab in the room. So you're sending your full rig up until the cabinet, the input of the cabinet, and then at that point you're breaking the signal and you're not sending that cabinet sound to your power amp in your real speaker. But it does on the main output, your XLR left and right. You are sending the full rig to your front of house, mixing board interface, whatever you're doing. So that's how Headrush works around sending your full signal to front of house, but also bypassing the cab. So you can use a power amp and a real cabinet on stage or in the studio or whatever you're doing. How does Helix do this? Helix does this by basically using the send of the effects loop, and you have to put you have to add that send path just before the cabinet in the signal chain. And I have a few videos on the Helix on my channel showing how to do that setup. I can't remember how they do it on the Quad Cortex. I can't remember how they do it. Really, I don't really think you can do it yet on the Toemaster Pro. At least I haven't learned how to do it yet. On the Fractal, you do something very similar where you go up to you make your signal chain, and right before that cab block, you do another secondary path, like a diagonal path down below to another row. And you make that output 2. So then you send output 1, which is the full signal chain, to your front of house. And then output 2 sends everything except for the cabinet to your second output, which is your power amp and your cabinet. So a very long-winded answer to say, yes, you can just use your amp, but you probably don't want to use the input of your amp. You want to use the effects return of your amp. So therefore, it is acting as a power amp. But then you also want to bypass your cabinet on the modeler, so you're not doubling up on your real speaker sound and your emulated speaker from the amp modeler. So I have up to 10 million videos on all those topics on my channel, and I've covered them many times in many videos. So if you have further questions, go search my channel and just see how that works. Okay. That also ties into the 4-cable method. If you're using a real amp and you want to use your amp modeler as just for your effects, you can have your dirt and some modulation in your wah-wah go to the front end of your amp. Then you can have your tremolos and rotary and other modulation stuff and delays and reverbs going to the power amp section of your amp via the 4-cable method, which is something that you need 4 cables for. So you're basically making a loop going to your input of the amp, but then you're making a loop from the effects loop on the amp going back from the unit. So many videos and all that stuff, all kinds of videos. So thanks for the question, Dwight. I have the first FRFR 108 if the new Headrush is much better compared to the original. I don't have the old one with me, but honestly, they both sound pretty similar. They did change the angle on the back, and they've kind of rearranged where the inputs show up. So when you tilt it back, it doesn't hit the floor at this weird like the cables aren't all weird and stuff. And plus the new ones have Bluetooth on them. So if you just want to use the speaker as a Bluetooth receiver, so you can play music whether you're in your garage cleaning it out or just doing whatever. Maybe you're working out in the garage. Maybe you're building something in the garage. Maybe you're having a party with friends and you need to play music through something. That would be the reason why I would get the new speaker, because it does have the added Bluetooth option. And like I said, they've rearranged the inputs and outputs a little bit. I'll do a full video series on these speakers so you can see exactly what they are, what the differences are, and how they sound and all that. So that's what I'll do. That is what I'll do. $10.4 sounds good. Yep. I personally use Flex Loop 4 cable method. I gig with the MX5 and a Katana Artist. Yeah, that's great. That'd be a really good setup right there, I think. Now, I have a question for you, Seth. What is the big difference between just a regular Boss Katana 100 watt combo and a Katana Artist? Do they sound that much better? Or are they just bigger? Or do they have more options? I used to work at Guitar Center back in like 2019. And man, that was such a long time ago at this point. 5 years. 5 years goes by really fast when you're getting old. I'm 43 now, and the last few years have just flown by. Just nuts. Nutso. So I had a little bit of experience playing through an artist, but I really didn't get if it's that much better than a regular Boss Katana, so I just don't know. I do need to get back into memorizing my Pat Martino lines here. That one's based off of the B flat major 7. And then you got something like okay, let me pull up a backing track real fast and I'll play you out. Let's play us out a little bit. So I'm going to podia.com. I have completed all 52 backing tracks for the year of 2023. I may start getting cracking on the next volume of backing tracks. And that is going to follow more closely the Circle of Fifths. The first time around, I kind of just chose whatever key I wanted to play in, but they're still really all good backing tracks. Really, all of them are good. So if I do like a blues rock thing, what do I want to do? What's this blues groove in F? Let's go to this one. I need to work on the arpeggio for that. Go to my reverb here. Let's turn up the mix a little bit. Okay. I got something to say here. Francis, I think on your board, you have the SD1, the Boss SD1 on your board. Like you just made a pedal board with a bunch of different pedals on it. That's essentially what this drive pedal is right here, is the 1SD, so the Boss SD1. I keep the drive down pretty low. I keep the tone down pretty low. Keep the volume up a little bit. This does have a mix knob on it, which is really cool. Because what you can do now, let's say I want to do like a little 50-50 kind of thing. Right? Maybe I want to turn the drive up. Yeah, make sure it's on. Turn the drive all the way up. So you can kind of hear the sound in the background as I raise it up maybe to 60%. So it's a cool way to have like a nice overdrive sound, but still sneak in some of that dry sound in there. Yes, sir. Maybe we'll raise it up a little bit more. So now it's too much. It's too much drive at that point, so I'll bring it back down. Keep the tone nice and low. I can kick in the other drive pedal, which is the full DS or the full overdrive. Okay, let me try that sound with this backing track. All right, cool. Yeah, it's a good sound. I like it. So you got some drive options there. I mean, that honestly sounds really good. That sounds really good. We'll turn the tone down a little bit, maybe. Maybe blend in a little dry signal. Ooh, shaboy. I know for a fact that the Grand Ole Opry uses Kemper, not exclusively, but they use it for a lot of their performances on stage. So yeah, there you go. You sound good, by the way. You're a solid player. I'm shredding some guitar as well. Nice. Nice one. For some reason, my camera has gone away. Okay. Not sure what happened to my camera, but I've turned it off and turned it back on, and we're good to go. Yeah, I'm a solid 5 as a player out of 10. I'm a great rhythm player. When it comes to soloing, I do what I do, but don't expect any Jonathan or John Nathan Cordy type stuff going on this channel. I gotta do some more practicing to do that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, just solid blues rock type stuff. I can do that all day. Let's see here. The artist has more outputs. It also has a custom Waza speaker, and the custom Waza speaker is modeled after a greenback. It's Boss's take on a greenback. Okay, cool. I'm sure that I would love the artist as well then. Honestly, probably the best speaker out of all these is probably the Boss Katana. Because why buy, this is my thought process, why buy an amp or powered speaker that can only be used as a way to amplify your amp modeler? Sometimes you don't want to use an amp modeler. You just want to plug straight into an amp. So therefore, you kind of need an amp for that. So I'm not always, but I'm pretty much at the point now to where if I just had a Boss Katana, then that would be great. I mean, it's cheap. It's about $350. They're a little less than your normal FR option, and they work as an amp. You could always add a foot switch to it, so you can change between the different channels on the Katana. They have a built-in modulation, delay, reverb, drive section if you want to do that kind of stuff. They have a great power amp in input, so you can connect your amp modeler directly to that input. But it also has an effects loop, a full send and return. So if you want to use a 4-cable method, then you can. If you want to plug into the effects return just to use the amp, the power amp, and the speaker, you can do that. You can set it to the acoustic tone stack, which is more of a flat type sound. And you can probably get away with plugging in an amp modeler directly into the acoustic channel on the Boss Katana, which I actually need to do a video on that. That'd be a really interesting experiment to see how all that works. And it's kind of the perfect little deal. It's especially if you get the 100-watt version. It is 100 watts, has all the inputs and outputs on the on the amp itself that you would ever want, and it sounds really good. I mean, I can't fault it for its tones at all. And why have a Laney right here that only works as a power amp and a cab? I mean, I can have an actual amp I can plug into at any time, and I have to worry about using an amp modeler if I don't want to. Yeah, that's what I would do. I would just buy a Boss Katana and be done with it. They are, how much are these things? Let's see, how much are these things? The Boss Katana 100. So yeah, the Generation 3 is $399. That's a good deal. The Katana Artist MK2 combo is $529. So that's right on par with the FR12 from Fender, or even the FR10 from Fender. I did have the 100-watt head at one point, which I thought was a pretty good little option because it does have a built-in, I think it's a 5-inch speaker in that thing. So it sounded good just for playing around. And then when you plugged it into a cabinet, like, whoa, hold on, it sounds really good. Yeah, the Artist Generation 3 is $599, and that's on par with the Fender FR12 at that point. Now, I would go out on a limb and say this is going to be a little bit heavier than the Fender. What's my specs here? Let's check out the specs. Let me show you what I'm doing. The specs. Classic. Okay. The weight is, I'm looking, 41 pounds. That's right at the cusp of my weight limit there. 41 pounds is pretty heavy. I mean, I have a 50-pound kettlebell that I work out with, and that's not too bad, but if you're gigging around and you got to carry a 41-pound amp, that's pretty heavy right there. Real fast, let's go check out, let me check out the back of it. Yeah, I see the little green thing going on there. We got the different speaker outputs, a MIDI in. We do have an XLR line out, which is great. Power amp in, effects loop, stereo phones, auxiliary input. Yeah, I mean, it looks good. But let me see how much a regular 100 watt weighs. Let's go to specs. And let's check it out. 32 pounds. So it's about 10 pound different. But still, the Fender FR12 is about 25 pounds. I think it's 27, 28 pounds. Fender FR12. No credit checks, folks. One day I can get this by Thursday if I order right now, which I'm not. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, so this is 35 pounds. 35 pounds. Well, hold on. That's the shipping weight. The weight itself is 27 pounds. So it's, anything under 30 pounds is great if you can get away with it. But since the Boss Katana is also an actual amplifier that you can plug straight into and not have to deal with the amp modeler, it might be worth the extra few pounds. And honestly, I have the MK2 Boss Katana downstairs in the garage. And it's really not that bad. I mean, it's not bad to carry around at all. It's just the way it is. Thank you, Francis. And thank you, Dwight. And agreed. Yeah, so if you already have an amplifier, then you're good to go. I wouldn't really worry about any FR solution unless you're only doing it for the weight, and the extra portability. I mean, obviously, a Boss Katana is not going to have Bluetooth on it, so you can play your music through it or whatever. But, it's the way it is. I mean, actually, at this point, you can't play music through the Kemper because it doesn't have Bluetooth. I mean, it kind of does, but not really. It only has it for the app, so I need to re-download. The Toemaster Pro has Bluetooth. The Headrush Core and Prime have Bluetooth, so you can play music through it. You can't do it on the Helix. As far as I know, you can't do it on the Quad Cortex, and you definitely can't do it on the Fractal. So there's very, very few units nowadays that actually have a Bluetooth option on the device itself. Let's go Kemper. Rig Manager. Okay, maybe I already had downloaded. Let's see. Let's go to System. Let's go Page. Oh, X-Fade time. That's fine. Let me show you what I'm doing here so you can see what I'm doing. And after this, we've been going for about 2 hours now, so that's a pretty long time. But thanks for hanging out with me for sure. Select MIDI port, rename device. Okay, right here. Home network mode. To connect to your network, use, let's see. I see. Start in demo mode. No, I don't want to be in demo mode. Searching for amplifiers. Where is this app? I know I have the app somewhere. I'm looking. Well, regardless, you can basically just edit things on the app. Oh, there it is, Rig Manager. Okay, I already have it open. Date and time, rig management. Okay. Let's try this out. Let's try to scan. Join my profiler network. Join. See what's going to happen here. Unable to join. Why? Why are you unable to join? Let's try it again. So far the app on the Toemaster Pro is very fast. Very, 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 very fast. Maybe my Bluetooth settings has to change or something. Let's try that. check my Bluetooth settings here. Tonemaster Pro. Yeah, this will have to be for another time in another place. Because, Wi-Fi settings. Wi-Fi enable. Connecting Wi-Fi module. Let's see what happens here. What's the Wi-Fi, man? Maybe you have to connect to the... Okay, my profiler. That's what it is. So you gotta connect your phone to the profiler Wi-Fi. And now what's gonna happen? What is gonna happen? Okay, now it's connected, I think. Yeah. Go back to Rig Manager. Okay. So there's what it's asking me. So it's asking me to connect. And I say yes. Are you kidding me? Please ensure that the Rig Manager app has access to devices in the local network. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to settings. Let's go to apps down here. Let's go to where's my Rig Manager? Oh, come on. Why does this have to be so hard? Rig Manager. Doesn't show up there. All right. So the Kemper has a phone app or iPad app, but it doesn't work all that great. You got to get it connected, man. Connect it up. Connect directly with your iPad using the camera app to scan this QR code. Yeah, but I'm just using my phone. Cannot connect to Profiler. Please ensure that the Rig Manager app has access to devices in the local network. Okay, where's my local network? Privacy and security. Location services. I don't know, guys. I don't know. All right, so I do appreciate everyone hanging out. If there's no more questions or comments or concerns, we can hang it up here. But so far, other than a few little, snafu things here and there, I got some pretty nice tones on the Kemper tonight. Okay, and I might want to play with the Kemper a little bit more. But you will be seeing me use this T484 a lot more on the channel. This is just a buttery smooth guitar. Pickups sound great. I love everything about it. The finish, the maple, flame maple stuff going on. I mean, it's just, wow. It's just nuts. Go to my ambient sound here. Actually, go to this one. Now on the lead sound, I'm probably even on the crunch sound, I probably want to choose a different amplifier, but I will do that in a separate video. So, Buenos noches, Seth. You have a good night. And thanks for hanging out. So, all right, I'm going to hang it up here. I'll finish up what I'm doing tonight, then head on to the bed. So, check the description down below for any affiliate links. You can go access the Ultimate Access Bundle on my website, which gets you everything I ever make on my website for one low price. And at this point, there's probably valued at about $700 to $800 at this point, and you can get the All Access Bundle for half of that. So, very good deal if you want to get all the rigs, all the presets, all the music theory stuff I've come out with, music production stuff I've come out with, and yeah, and using PayPal credit, you can get it all paid off in 6 months and never have to pay anything else again. So that's an option for you guys if you want to dive deeper and educate yourself in all things music and sweet tone. So you guys have a great night. I'm Dr. McFarland. I'll see you in the next video. Keep rocking.